You are now listening to the Going North podcast, where you'll receive tips and techniques to advance yourself. I'm your host, Dom Brightmon, and every week we're going to be hearing from an author who's going to share their expertise to help you charge forward in life. On a quick side note, be sure to check out Going North the book. It's available in ebook, audio, as well as paperback form for those who love to read a traditional book. Now let's get on with the show. Hey there, all my folks out in Baltimore, especially in the Cockeysville area. Clear your calendars on Saturday, July the 7th at 1 p.m. I'm going to be having a joint book event with my good friend, fellow author, and podcast host, Mark Greatness Hunter, called Going North to Greatness. At this event, which is free, I might add, you are going to be hearing some powerful messages, some inspiring messages, some uplifting messages that will help you to focus on going forward to better, to breaking through, and to go north to your greatness. You'll learn how to overcome self-doubt, network with others, and hear some important messages that will help you stay inspired to charge and chase after your dream, and also to remember to encourage others. So go over into Eventbrite, type in Going North to Greatness. It'll be hashtag GNTG2018, and I look forward to seeing you there.
And today on the Going North podcast, we have, you guessed it, another author, but not just any author. We have a doctor today, not only a doctor, but also a mother, a wife, a family physician, and a certified personal and executive coach. So this lady knows how to stay busy indeed, and she has stayed so busy in her life that she ended up publishing a book about how to find just the right balance in your life, because when you're seeking more out of life, there's going to be those times where you feel like a metaphorical candle and someone just dumps that water on you because your fire was so hot. But today you're going to find out how to just find the right balance. And you're probably wondering who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one and only Dr. Lisa Herbert. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Dom. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure indeed. It's great to have you on this magical platform because I got a few lady followers. Heck, even probably 50% of my guests are women anyway, so this is going to be quite fitting because everybody's trying to do these things, and we need wonderful folks like you to help them get to that place of balance, or at least get the perfect semblance of it so they can not get burnt out.
Yes, absolutely.
So those gave a short little introduction to the wonderful doctor. Mind filling in the gaps where I may have missed some things?
Sure. So, yeah, I'm a native of New York, and I knew from a very early age that I wanted to help people. I had experienced a loss of a family member, actually. My grandfather had died suddenly at a very early age of a heart attack. And I remember saying after that incident that I wanted to help people and I wanted to become a doctor. So my mom pretty much heard that, and she made it a point to make sure that I continued on that path. So I continued on the path to become a physician. I attended Stony Brook University, where I received my bachelor's degree, and then I went on to Syracuse Medical School, Upstate Medical Center. And after that, I attended Mountainside Hospital for my family residency program, and after that became a family physician. So I actually practiced for 20 years in private clinical practice, seeing patients of all ages, mostly women, because women are just attracted to women, but certainly saw men as well as children. And during that time, I raised my family. I had 2 children. I also got married to my college sweetheart. And trying to, knowing the struggles, basically, of trying to juggle all of that, having a very busy career and a family, being married, and then, being caretaker to my parents as well, I started to experience what it was like to really juggle all those responsibilities. And I think just as women, we have this nature about us to want to just take care of everybody. And through that process, sometimes we just forget to take care of ourselves. And I also witnessed that as a young child as well, that there was these really strong, resilient women in my family who took care of everybody else but sort of put themselves in the back burner. So as I was on this path to just becoming this entrepreneur, a business owner, I had to stop and really take a breath at some point and realize that I needed to give back to myself. So that became sort of like my life mission towards the second half, I would call it, of my career, my journey. And I decided to really dedicate some time into a business to really help other women take back their lives, to reclaim their time, to really focus on getting themselves healthy, and also to help them to develop really strong relationships. And then that sort of catapulted me to write the book.
Amen indeed, because burnout sucks. Personally, I've gone through it myself with the loss of a loved one on my end, too, and it can suck. Now, granted, I wasn't no mother, no kids, but still, it's like that's still a very tough thing to go through, indeed.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, anyone can really experience burnout, especially for people who are caretakers, and sometimes they are men, they're not mothers or they're not women, but, just can certainly lead us down this path of burnout when we forget really just to recharge and to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves so that we can continue to give to others.
Yeah, that's true indeed, because when you're giving so much of yourself, you forget to really say yes to yourself at times, and then that's when things just really go south, and then you just really can almost metaphorically fall off the deep end because you don't give yourself time to rest, and you're walking around like a zombie, and they're like, wait, the zombie apocalypse isn't here yet. Why do you feel so bad?
Yeah, and I think, I also witnessed this when I was seeing patients on a regular basis as well. It was really hard to get people to a point of helping them to get over whatever was ailing them at the time, whether it was a chronic illness, hypertension, diabetes, if they really weren't addressing the fact that they were stressed out, overwhelmed, and not addressing that piece of their life that was sort of not in place, then it was really hard even to help them to overcome or improve, those chronic diseases that they had as well. So it definitely can affect your health in the long run.
Very true indeed. So in addition to taking care of caregivers while balancing life as a mom, what did you have to overcome in the process of writing the book?
Yeah, so I think one of the things I had to overcome was just being able to set boundaries, which I think sometimes is really hard for us. I'm going to just speak as women, but certainly I think it's sometimes hard for us as women to set boundaries because we want to always say yes to people and not make people feel bad. We want to always be that person to help somebody out. And by doing that, sometimes we say yes when we really mean no, or, we take on more than we really can handle. So one of the challenges I had to overcome was just being comfortable with setting boundaries and sometimes, telling people that I couldn't do things or taking some things off of my plate and really just developing, that sort of platform for me where I didn't feel like I had to do everything all the time.
Yeah, because with everything, you don't really try to do everything, even though if you're one of those altruistic people, me speaking as a guilty party, it can be romantic to try to do everything.
Yeah, it's hard. It's definitely hard to try to do everything. And then when you try to do everything, you don't really give your best effort. You don't give 100% to the things that you really want when you're trying to just divide your time between so many different things.
Yep, so with dividing your time, if you were to give at least 2 good tips from the book and to make them want to dive deeper into it, what those 2 tips would be that have really helped you to really overcome that and to get that balance back?
Yeah, so one of the tips definitely is, I would say, to ask for help. right? Because I think sometimes, especially people who are very motivated to want to take on things and to just have a very success mindset, sometimes it's hard for people to really ask for help. And I know that a lot of times moms don't like to ask for help because they feel like they can do it all. So definitely one tip would be to ask for help and to know that asking for help really isn't a sign of weakness. So we talk about how to go about that, how to ask for help, how to have difficult conversations. There's some scenarios in the book also that I have where we kind of display, two women who are having this struggling conflict of their priorities, rather, and how they really should go about, dealing with those. So that's one tip, is to ask for help. And the other tip is that we have to learn how to adapt to change, right? Because our lives take on different forms, take on different meanings depending on, where we are in our lives. So when we're younger, sometimes with younger children, there's those challenges that come up. As we go through life, when the children become older, sometimes there's more challenges on the job. Even as we get older, then we sometimes have challenges with having to be caretakers for our parents. So learning to adapt to all of those changes that happens in our lives is definitely something that is going to be helpful, for women to be able to balance. And just to know that you have to sometimes revisit, what's going on in your life at the time and adjust and schedule what that balance looks like for you based on what's going on in your life at that time. So that's another tip that's in the book that we talk about as well. And then how do we really just go about the process of changing? So when we know that there's a certain area in our life that has to change because it's either bringing us stress or it's just no longer conducive to, having a healthy, harmonious life, how do you go about then changing that particular behavior or changing that particular situation? So we go through the different 5 stages of change of how to actually go about doing that.
Sounds good to me, especially with change, learning to adapt to it, because I think it was Adapt or Perish is one. I'm not sure who started that one, but that one is so darn true, because if we don't know how to adapt to change, and it's coming whether you like it or not, then
yes.
just get by the wayside.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think the other thing, too, is I talk about in the book how to really achieve a healthy mind, body, and spirit, because the whole premise of I look at it as a total self-care. So when I talk about self-care, it's not really just about maybe taking time to get a massage or do something like that, although those things are great. How are you really taking care of your total self, your mind, body, and spirit? So how are you taking care of your physical health, making sure that we have our physical health in order? How are you taking care of your mind? What are some of the things that you're doing just to make sure that you don't experience burnout and stress? And then in terms of your spirit, what are you doing to feed your soul? So if all of those things are in alignment and all of those things are healthy, it helps you to be able to overcome challenges and be able to better harmoniously balance all of the different things that are going on in your life.
Speaking of feeding your mind with good stuff, are there any, your top 3 books that you really love and that really inspired you to be your own author?
There are a couple of books. One book that I can remember reading a while back is called The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch. And this was a guy who was a brilliant professor at a very prestigious college. I think he was a computer science professor. And he was basically asked to give a lecture on what do you want your legacy to be? And if this was your last time on earth, what would that look like? And unbeknownst to him, he was really going through a terminal illness at the time. I think he was diagnosed with cancer. And he had to give this lecture, to his students. And through the process, I think to sum it up, he basically gave the message of how do you live your life now? Why are we putting off things in the future that we can do now? What are some of the things that you can even look back on in your life that you're happy about or that you were happy about as a child? Why aren't you reliving those sorts of situations now? After reading that book, and I think it actually became a made-for-TV movie as well, it sort of just put things in perspective for me. I knew that I had wanted at some point to write a book, so I said, I need to do this now. I don't need to wait until it's too late or regret the fact that I've never done it. So that was one book that definitely helped me just in life in general, but then sort of got me on this path to do the things that I wanted to do, one of which was to write a book.
Sweet.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of other good books. I've read a lot of, I'm a big Iyanla Vanzant fan, so I've read a lot of her books, and I think that what motivated me from some of her books are just the inspirational message that she gives to women. Really just find your voice, find out who you are, find out what it is that you really like to do, and then just to go for it and just do it. So I have a couple of her books that have really inspired me, to become not only just an author, but just to become a better person as well.
Yeah, she's killing the game. She's got a whole library of books, and I think she released a book, her newest book, I think that was like 2 months ago, even though it feels like 2 weeks ago. I think it's called Get Over It, I think.
Yeah, I haven't picked that one up yet, but From Piece to Pieces, that book resonates with me. There's a lot of other books that she had written. One Day My Soul Just Opened Up, I think was another, that's probably one of her older ones, but certainly that was another book that sort of just got me on the path of making sure that I fed myself spiritually and make sure that I had some spiritual practices in my life that I continue to do so that I can continue to have inner peace, clarity about what it is that I want to do, in life, which also, helped me as well.
Yes, indeed. It's actually great to hear some different books listed, because most of the guests so far have listed usually Think and Grow Rich. Even though that's a darn good book, it's great to have some different recommendations for once.
Right. Wow. With all of my new knowledge, I think the one thing that I learned that I wish I had more of, I think when I was younger, is patience. Personality, I guess it was, or type of person that, I kind of wanted everything, now. And I think that was part of this drive that I had to just continue to go forward and not really just stop and really just live in the moment, to be mindful of what was going on at the time. And sometimes we go through life so fast that we miss things, miss opportunities, and can't get those back. So definitely one thing it would be patience. So to learn just to be patient and that things will come to you in its due time, and just to stop and just really achieve success as it unfolds.
Yeah, so basically give yourself a nice break to not only stop and smell the roses and the coffee, but also success.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and then just to define what success means. And again, I think most people know at this point success is really not about material things, but it's really about just how fulfilled you are in your life at the time. And if you're happy, if you feel like you have achieved things and you've given your all, you've given your best, that definition of success can be just that.
That is amazing right there, and it is true, because, like success, it's not about the Lamborghinis, it's not about $1 million, even though those are nice things, and feeling fulfilled. Just don't want to fill yourself up with so much food you become 600 pounds. That's really not success right there. That's well, they'll probably have to see you after they reach that weight, like, doctor, help me, please.
Right.
But yeah, finding your own version of success and just living it out and manifesting it, and having the patience to deal with all the setbacks that'll come with it as well, which is bound to happen.
Absolutely.
All right, for those who want to keep in touch with the magical doctor, to keep track of what you're doing and to keep the scale balanced, where can we find you?
Yeah, so you can find me. My website is justtherightbalance.com. That's justtherightbalance.com. You can also find me on Facebook at Just the Right Balance, Instagram at Just the Right Balance, Twitter at The Balance Doctor. That's Dr. Dr. The Balance Doctor Dr.
Well, there you have it, folks. You got all the social media handles and whatnot, and her website. And the good thing about this wonderful lady, she's got more than the book. She's got a T-shirt and a coffee mug. So you can get that coffee. Make sure you get yourself quote unquote mugged with that taking my life back with the coffee mug and get a T-shirt. So that way when somebody approaches you with 99 things, you can just point to the T-shirt and be like, nope, I'm taking back my life.
Taking back my life. Yes, I love it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey there, buddy. Looks like you made it to the end of this episode. Since you made it to the end of this episode, do both of us a favor and stop being greedy. Stop it right now and share this episode with your friends and your fellow podcast lovers, especially those who have book clubs and want to listen to the authors who write some amazing books. Be sure to check out the rest of the backlog too while you're at it and share all those too. And in order to make the rest of your week the best of your week, remember to advance others to advance